Okay, well, I want to welcome everyone to this Zoom. I'm excited to have so many joining today. It's surprising. I I just love talking about health topics. I'm actually a naturopath. My name is Megan McNally. For those of you who don't know me, I'm sure several do know me. If you're just
What is a naturopath?
okay,
Are we supposed to ask questions? Sorry.
no, it's okay. I'll explain that in a second. Um,
Okay, cool.
Yeah, sorry, Brittany. Thanks for
No,
asking.
it's fine. I'm watching from the hot tub.
Oh, nice. Okay, so just okay. So if you're just joining, just mute yourself. Anyway, yeah. So I am a naturopath. So what that is that you focus on the natural side of health. You're trying to help the body be in the best function as you possibly can naturally so that it can take care of itself. And so a lot of naturopaths focus on different supplements or lifestyle changes or doing different tests in the body to see what toxins are there and detoxing, looking at food sensitivities that are triggering different antibody responses. So I just love helping people be able to find the root of, their health and wellness. And we also, another fact about me is that we live in the state of Washington and we live off grid. So we just really wanted to have the healthiest lifestyle possible. We wanted to have a simpler life, be out in nature more, and we just really like it here because it's such a clean environment to live in, and it's a lot of fun. It's the life that we really would have wanted to have if we could choose. So we've been really happy to have that. But yeah, so I'm going to be sharing with you a health topic that I really like because I've seen it play such a significant role in helping our bodies function the best possible. So when we have different things that we're trying for our health. A lot of people say, "Oh, I've tried this and I've tried that, and just really didn't work for me. I didn't feel like I got the results I wanted. My body didn't respond very well. I didn't have the recovery that I wanted. I don't feel the way that I actually want to feel, that I was told I was supposed to feel." And so when I'm hearing that from a lot of different people, I'm starting to think, okay, what's going on? What's missing? Obviously, something's missing because to me, they're doing everything right. And obviously, with each person, there's going to be different boxes that we have for our health that we need to be able to check off to be able to feel really good. It's just like with a car, you need to make sure all the components are working perfectly in the car to be able to hit those bumps in the road that we know we're going to hit, but we want to be able to recover from it without something breaking down. And, obviously, if you know there's something in your life that you're hitting yourself with over and over and over, it's going to be hard for your body to recover. So, making sure each of those boxes are checked off with your lifestyle, with your daily habits is really important. But there's a really, really big box that I've seen missing for people's health. And this has been the answer. So, my story is that when I was younger, I was very, very active. Um, Even when I got after high school, I was doing a lot of camping and hiking and outdoor activities. I was teaching a few fitness classes a week. But we, uh, during a fitness class, I actually had a very minor back injury. And I thought that I'd be able to bounce back. But, sorry, just gonna admit someone. I didn't bounce back. And it became not only a few weeks, but years and years of a lot of pain where the physical therapists and different therapists I was seeing said, "You look good." And I couldn't figure out why I was in such high pain levels that I couldn't enjoy what I was doing. I couldn't do dishes for more than 30 seconds. I couldn't do stuff around the house. I couldn't hike without just such high amounts of pain. I kept thinking, why isn't my body recovering like it's supposed to? I'm young. Why is it not responding to the therapies that I am doing for it? So, different scenario with my husband. He was in college, just trying to make the best health choices for himself. He actually got, his asthma disappeared after he got off dairy, which was really cool. And, as a naturopath, I loved seeing that he was working really well for having the best health possible. But after we got married, we started to notice that different things kept coming up in the foods that I was feeding him. He's like, I can't eat that. I feel really, really fatigued. I'm just getting headaches after I eat that. He was clearing his throat constantly. And I was just like, well, okay, let's try to, figure out what you're eating and what's triggering this different stuff. Well, a year and a half after we got married, he started noticing that his fingers were just really, really weak. He'd been doing a lot of hard work on the car, and we're like, you just strained your fingers, and we'll try to do some different things to alleviate the tension. Well, it didn't really get better. And then at Christmas time, he suddenly had a drooping eyelid. His eyes were starting to look two different directions. They weren't tracking together. And he just felt really, really fatigued. So he was at work. He works at a dam as an engineer. He's having to type up huge reports for different things he's researching. And with his eyelid drooping and his eyes not tracking together, he couldn't even look at his computer. He couldn't work. He couldn't type because his fingers were so weak that he couldn't even type on the computer. He just started finger pecking. And at this time when all this started was when COVID was starting to come into the picture. And he started fearing for his job. A year after he starts his very first engineering job, he's worried that he's going to be laid off because he's not going to be considered essential because he literally can't work. And he felt awful. He was getting headaches every day because of the double vision and the nausea. And I'm trying to figure out, like, what are we going to do for finances if he has to come home and he has to figure out something different. And we were seeing a lot of doctors at that time. They didn't know what was going on. They couldn't give us any conclusions at all. We previous to that, we were doing a lot of really difficult hiking. Well, now we couldn't even go for a run. He couldn't handle that. He would walk on a flat surface for 10 minutes and just feel like his legs were 50 pounds. He just couldn't tolerate it. And it was scary, super scary, that when you're this young, that your body is breaking down this fast. What's going on? So I want to show you something that we have discovered in this health process of researching what's going on in our bodies. I want to share my screen. So here it comes. Okay, so when we have a scenario of a vehicle that's in a garage, that's enclosed, there's no doors open, and say you are inside of that garage. If that car keeps running, are you going to be able to feel good by the end of it? No. You're going to have some significant damage and it could have some fatal consequences, right? So what that's doing is increasing something called oxidative stress. I don't know how many of you have heard of oxidative stress, but it ties directly to something called free radicals. And those free radicals are influenced by something called antioxidants that we eat in our food. And we know that what we eat in our food is really important. But if you were sitting in this garage with the car running, if you had a big bushel of blueberries that are full of amazing antioxidants, would you survive if you're eating them constantly? No, because the antioxidants you're getting from that food are not going to keep up with what you're breathing from that car. So science research has actually been delving into this area of oxidative stress. And they've actually found that it's one of the top theories of aging. And what they found is that we actually have far more oxidative stress in our bodies than what they ever realized. So if you had, say, a debt, that you got a loan of 306 trillion, could you be able to pay that off if you only had $100,000? Probably not. 306 trillion is so big that it's like a drop in the ocean, giving it $100,000 compared to being able to pay off that debt. So science research has found that the debt in our bodies of the free radicals that are attacking our system is actually 306 trillion. And that's because we have so many things in our environment. Yes, the lifestyle choices that we're making raise that to add to that number, but it's also other things in our environment that are completely out of our control. And so that just this number is raising significantly. And when they see this number raising, a biochemist that was out of Denver started looking at the cell function. What can be done? What's going on in our cells? What can be done about this number that is raising in our bodies? Sorry, just trying to get here we go. Okay, so with the antioxidants that fight oxidative stress, we have what we get from our food. That's glutathione, the vitamin E, the different vitamin C and different antioxidants from the food, but that's called secondary antioxidants. And they play a buffering role in helping our body fight these raising levels. But there's something very significant that this biochemist discovered and actually won an award for his discovery, the same award that Alexander Graham Bell and Marie Curie won themselves, is that he discovered that we have antioxidants produced in our cells that are 1 million times stronger than what we get in our food. And they're called the primary internal antioxidants. So what God designed our cells to produce is actually 1 million times stronger than what we're getting in our food. So obviously, we need them we need them working very, very well in order to combat that oxidative stress. They're able to eliminate free radicals 1 million times per second. So instead of taking our little Dixie cup of water with what we get from our food to throw on a house fire to put out the oxidative stress, we're actually able to completely eradicate the high levels of oxidative stress with what our cells produce. But unfortunately, sorry, my computer is, here we go. My computer is freezing up. So unfortunately, what science has discovered is that the production of what we have in our cells drops by 60% as we age. So that's starting to make sense. When we think of when we're aging, we know that, probably in our 50s and 60s and 70s, different things are going to start to age. And this is actually why it happens, is because what's produced in our cell is now not being produced. And so the body can't take care of itself anymore. But what they're seeing is that it's happening at a younger and younger age with the more that our body is facing every day now versus generations ago. So, I actually worked in an ophthalmology office for 3 years, and they saw the same thing where the dry eye specialist in the office, they said, normally when you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, you start to get dry eye because the eyelid functions that help fight dry eye and the oil produced, that's starting to die off as you get older. But with everything that's going on in people's bodies now, the choices that we're making, the higher levels of oxidative stress, they're actually starting to see it in teenagers, in 8-year-olds. I've dealt with it too. And so, obviously something's going on in our body where more and more functions aren't where they're supposed to be. So when we have oxidative stress, we have every area of the body that's affected by it, because it's targeting the breakdown of each organ. And here's the really crucial thing, is that our mitochondria are another component of the cell that are part of that function and that breakdown. So another theory of aging, which is the body breaking down, is our mitochondria health. And they've actually coined a term called mitochondria dysfunction because we see that the mitochondria, which produce the energy for the function of the cell and for the organ, are actually becoming diseased and breaking down. So the cell doesn't actually have the energy for the repair. You know, did you know that your sleep is actually the highest repair time for your body? Well, if you don't have healthy mitochondria, the repair process during your sleep is going to be very, very low. And people have very unrestful sleep. They wake up super fatigued even after enough hours at some point in their life, and they just can't figure out why I'm not sleeping well. It's because the repair isn't going well either. And that is tied to the mitochondria repair process. But, you know, something else that's cool is that when we have the genes that we get from our parents, the mitochondria gene comes from our mother. And, you know, we wonder why certain families tend to have different things that carry from generation to generation of different organs. You know, certain families have health issues in their heart, or they have autoimmune issues, or they have liver, or, you know, whatever. It seems to carry through generations. Well, it's because the mitochondria weakness gets carried through generations. So if your mitochondria are weak in the heart, it can actually produce a lot more heart issues and cardiovascular issues. And there's actually thousands of mitochondria per cell, per organ. And there's actually data that showed that 10 to 20% of our body weight is composed of mitochondria. So you can see if 10 to 20% of our body weight is now very diseased and breaking down, like the mitochondria have been found to be, then that makes total sense why our body just is not functioning where it should be. So they're starting to see hundreds and hundreds of different conditions. If you research what's going on in your body related to oxidative stress and mitochondria function, you're probably going to find a tie. So this biochemist I was talking about, he continued his research on the cell function, and he found that these antioxidants are dying off in production. He wanted to find a way to naturally increase their production, but he didn't want to do it synthetic ways because, you know, people have different side effects from that. He wanted to find only a natural way to do it. So he started experimenting with many, many different types of herbs. And he found that, you know, certain herbs on this graph here, you can see at the bottom, certain herbs actually influence something called the NRF2 gene that governs the production of these antioxidants. He found that each one starts to influence that production. But when combined at this ratio that he found, a specific ratio of herbs, it had an 18-fold increase on the expression of this antioxidant gene than each herb alone. So that raises the idea that, you know, if we're supplementing each one of these herbs, it barely had an effect on the cell. But here's the difference, is that it's actually activating the cell's own response and own ability to take care of itself and produce what it's supposed to do. And it had an 18-fold impact on the cell, which totally makes sense because each one of them could not do that on their own. And it has to be the cell's function kicking in. So they found that, yes, 18-fold in their gene expression of this cell, of this gene. And so he named this product of this specific combination called Protandim, and it's owned now by a company called LifeVantage that continues the research on these cell functions. So they have the NRF2 Protandim that that focuses on the antioxidant production. It also is a gene that governs the anti-inflammatory response. And they found a way, LifeVantage continued that research in finding specific herbs that activate something called the NRF1 gene. And that deals with mitochondria, the biogenesis of mitochondria, producing more mitochondria that are healthy and strong and able to produce the energy that the cell needs. And they also have found a way to activate something called NAD. And NAD is a component of the cell that deals with the longevity genes. It deals with helping our body be able to be more resilient, to last longer. You know, we want our health span to be as long as our lifespan, so just helping it to have better control of keeping the health as long as possible. So, you know, just like on a car that I talked about, you have to fix each component. They found that when you fix all three of them together, here, let's see if I can get it to come up. Okay. So if you fix all three cell functions together, you have a 1,563 increase in the cell's response of the NRF2 gene, a 69% of the NRF1 gene cell response when activating all three areas of the cell, and a 1,792% increase in the cell's gene response with activating all three together of the NAD gene. So science research has recognized that Protandim is doing such a good work in the cell. They found that it lowers oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. And that's such a big claim that nothing else has been able to claim. And so different research centers, universities, medical institutions actually did their own research on Protandim. So National Institute on Aging did a study that found that Protandim increased the lifespan in mice by 7%, which nothing else has been shown to increase. Harvard University did their own study. Washington State University did a study. Louisiana State University did a study on Protandim activating the skin cells and what it can do for sun exposure. American Heart Association also on the cardiovascular system. And each one of them is peer-reviewed, which means a second party did the study, and then a third party tried to poke holes in it and find errors before it could be published on PubMed. So when I first learned about this, there were 16, now we have 26, and the research just continues. One of them, they found on the gene expression that it actually helped to level out gene expression. So if we have a gene that's overexpressing fibrotic scar tissue, you know, we don't want that growing in our organs. It helped bring it back down. If we have an anti-inflammatory gene that's barely functioning, it helped to bring it up, like tuning a piano and getting everything to an even, normal expression. So it's actually really incredible what can be done, because we have 1,000 gene mutations per generation. We're dealing with so much more than our parents and our grandparents dealt with, and to be able to evenly tune them to help the body function how it should is absolutely incredible. It helps it to play harmoniously instead of just being out of whack in different areas of the body. And, you know, Washington State University in their study said that NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. And it makes sense why, because the breakthrough is not the herbs, it's the body itself. We're increasing the body's own potential to take care of itself. So when I learned about this, you know, my husband, you know, we were just looking for any possible way to stay healthy and to stay well. For myself, it helped my back pain decrease so significantly that I can work really hard. I helped my parents move and pack boxes and lift boxes, and normally that would wipe me out. I don't have the pain levels that I used to. My husband, he actually needed a double dose of Protandim. He took it morning and night, and it made such a significant difference of helping him to be able to respond to everything that we were doing for his for getting him back to normal. And a few months later, this is really significant because not everybody has this fast of reaction, but a few months later, you know, his hands were working normally. He was able to have normal function in his eyes. His legs are stronger. We went back to hiking. We did a building project with our house with installing our solar panels. He's lifting stuff. He's, you know, we were told we needed a flat floor plan with no stairs, and we have a very steep stairway. He's climbing them. He's doing fine. He feels very good. And I've been very thankful because I've seen it come through for us of just helping him to be able to respond to all the you know, gut therapies that we were doing for him. And you know, we're helping his body check all those boxes so that he can feel the best. And I know that there's many people in that scenario that are looking for the same thing of what box is missing for me. And that, my friends, is this cell function that's absolutely incredible. So I know that we're running out of time here, but I do want to tell you that LifeVantage is a really incredible company that try very hard at helping people understand how it works, because this information is too complicated to be put on the back of a bottle. No one would understand, you know, how this works if it used to be sold on shelves, and no one really knew what it was because a little label really couldn't tell you how it's different than anything else out there on the shelf. So the company actually switched to something called direct sales. And that means that you start to hear people telling their experience, just like our experience, where we're telling you how it works, what it does for the body, and sharing from person to person to person. And those that are sharing are actually getting compensated for spreading this information. And it's been an amazing experience for us because we have seen, as I've started to share with other people, they're coming back to me saying, I'm so glad you told me about this. And they trust me because I'm their friend, I'm connected with them, and they know that, you know, I want to share information with them that's going to benefit them. But on top of that, I've been able to help us when we were at that time that was really unstable, when COVID was coming in, when my husband's having a hard time working, that I was able to help supplement our income. And at the time, we really felt impressed that we needed to move out of our area where we were at previously because of the high toxin amount of pesticides from orchards that were right next to our house, and we wanted to get to a clean air environment. And right at that time, because of sharing this information, we had just enough to be able to buy our house, be able to pay for the mortgage, and it's just been such a blessing. And I love sharing this information about Protandim because hearing the stories is incredibly rewarding of how it's helping people. And, you know, for some people, I'm going to just show you one more thing. Let's see here. Some people are wondering, you know, I want to take this because I see the value in it. I want it to help my health, but maybe you can't afford it. But if you see that it'll help others as well in your life, you can actually be able to help cover the costs of what you want to take yourself personally. And so in the company, they are traded on the NASDAQ. They're very, very open about what their distributors earn in the company. And for there's levels from 1 to 10 for those that, you know, the average of sharing time of sharing this information may be about 8 months for most people. They're earning at the Pro 3 level $626. That goes a long way. We're waiting right now, you know, lots of people are waiting for that stimulus check to be able to tie them over because of all the losses they've had from COVID. And just they found that a few $100 extra is able to save someone from absolute financial devastation. And I've seen that over and over and over with this, that it's helped people just have a little bit extra buffer to be able to help them get through the tough times or cover the products that they need. And for us, when we got to level Pro 4, that was when we were able to cover the mortgage that we're for our new house, pay the rent previously on our previous place. And people usually get there in about a year of consistent sharing. So it's such a blessing. And for Pro 7 level, that's a big jump, because at 13,000 you are sharing in the worldwide sales of the company around the world. And they're helping their distributors be compensated because you're sharing the information. They don't have to pay the middleman, the truckers, the different people, the stores that are selling Protandim. All they're doing is just paying the ones who are sharing it, and it ships directly from the company to the person that's buying it. But for those at Pro 7, that's the point where one or two people in the household can come home from work. And for some people, that's the choice where they're at, where, do I need another option for work? Is my work situation working for me? Some people want to have better health or a better family environment, but they can't because they're spending so much time commuting to work, or, they have a toxic environment at work. They feel really fatigued when they're at work because they're exposed to so much. But they have no choice in something else that they can do for their life, because kind of once you pick a career, it's really hard to switch. So I've seen it for many people I've shared with, giving that family an option to choose. If they love their work, great, but at least they have a backup. If something was to go wrong, my husband loves his work, but if something was to go wrong where he wasn't able to work, say car accidents happen all the time. What if you had a major injury and you couldn't go back to work? This has provided that buffer for people. And so I just love seeing that change lives. And a lot of people ask, how do I, if I want to take these products, how do I order? And I'm going to show you here. We have a really awesome website that's very streamlined, very easy to figure out. And when you go to the shop, when it loads here, you just scroll down and you can see, once it loads, sorry, our internet being off grid isn't always the most optimal. If you scroll down, we have the Protandims, which are super amazing. You can get them in sets as a discount, all 3 as a discount, or in singles. And you just add them to the cart and click checkout like any other website that you would order something from. But something I do want to show you is that they've applied Protandim to the brain through something called Axio. There's a neuroscientist that says that the function of the brain after 12 days on Protandim and Axio on EEG readings has been the most significant change in the brain that he's ever seen in all his 23 years of practice. And he wasn't even related to the company. Someone just showed him this, and he did the test on a child that was a teenager. He just tested 12 days before and after on their brain function. And he saw that, the memory, the neurological function, the brain fog decreases. You have much better memory retention. They've noticed better attention spans in kids and adults. So it's been really exciting. And they also have where they've applied it to the hair, Nrf2 activation for the hair follicles and the cells of the scalp, so that you have better hair quality, more volume, even getting hair to come back how it normally should be growing. Louisiana State University said that Protandim should be crushed up and put in a cream so that you can apply it to the skin because they saw amazing benefits in the skin as well. So there's lots of cool things to check out. But there is one set on sale that's specifically targeting the gut health. Today is the last day of the sale, which is why I want to highlight it. I've noticed a really, really big benefit in this set because it includes one cell activator, but it also includes a probiotic and a prebiotic. And why this probiotic is actually different is because probiotics are significant in helping the absorption. So if you don't have a very good gut health, you're not going to actually absorb what you're taking in through your mouth. Any supplement, anything at all, any food, you're not going to be able to assimilate it into what the body needs. So having that improved absorption, and they've actually found that this one has 60% of the enzymes that are able to get into the gut versus 4% from a lot of other probiotics that are usually dead before you get them into your mouth. They're dead on the shelves. And the prebiotic is really good because it helps give nutrients to fuel the probiotic enzymes. So it's a really awesome set that's on sale for 7 more hours, ends at midnight Mountain Standard Time. So that's definitely something to check out. So whatever category you fall into, whether you are looking to help your health, you see this as something that will really benefit you. You may see this as something that it maybe isn't for you. It's not for everyone, although it does help everyone. Not everyone is at the place where they want to use it, but you may see it as someone else, something that someone else can benefit from. Feel free to send them our way. We can send them research and information. If you see this as something you want to take yourself and you want to tell others about, you can also get compensated for it, and feel free to reach out about the information that we have on that as well. So whatever place you fall into, please let us know, and we're happy to help. We really appreciate you being on the Zoom, hearing our story, and the amazing benefits that a healthy, functioning body can have for us. So I'm just going to stop the recording, and feel free to ask some questions.